Hello and welcome to another Fabula Ultima class feature video. This time it's the Orator, a guide by Fabula Points me. So, as we normally do, jumping straight in, the Orator is a two-pager. Um, when we start with an Orator, we permanently increase your mind points by 5, which is always good, especially for spellcasters. And then we've got a bunch of skills. So there are 15 skill point possible allocations we can do here, but there are quite a few skills we want. And one of what I believe is the strongest skills in the game. So let's start from the top. Condemn. We can take up to 4 skill points in Condemn. You may use an action to spend 5 mind points to perform an opposed insight and willpower check against a creature that can hear and understand you. Describe your accusations. If you succeed, the target loses skill level times 10 mind points and suffer dazed or shaken. Your choice. So dazed is insight and shaken is willpower. So dazed will lower insight by a die and will shaken willpower by a die, just to remember which one's which. You get a bonus equal to skill level to your insight plus willpower checks for this skill, so that works really well. So with 4 skills in this, we get a +4 to the roll, and they would lose 40 mind points. And if we're doing shaken to lose the willpower, because magic is because mind points are calculated by your willpower dice times 10. No, willpower dice times 5. They would then lose 10 max MP from the willpower as well. So they'd lose 50 mind points if their dice lowers, which is massive. Especially for 5 mind points. But it does take up 4 skill points. So it's up to you whether you want to be kind of like a mage punisher kind of with this. I really like it. The next one is encouraged. During a conflict, you may use an action to spend 5 mind points to choose another creature that can hear and understand you. There's a lot of hear and understand yous here. That creature recovers skill level times 5 hit points and chooses Dex, Smite, or Willpower. They then treat the chosen attribute as being 1 die size higher up to a maximum of d12 until the start of their next turn. So this is great. So for 5 mind points, it's a pretty good heal. Like obviously with 1 skill point, it's only 5 health, but if we add it more, we end up being able to out heal the Spiritist in mind points per healing, at least for a single target, and only in conflict. Obviously, they can do like mass heals where they can heal multiple people for a lot more, and they can revive people. So I wouldn't call this skill the greatest heal in the game, but like this is a really good heal skill. Only 5 mind points is fantastic. The next one, My Trust in You. After another player character who is able to hear you performs a check, you may spend 1 Fabula point and invoke one of their traits or bonds in order to let them reroll dice or improve the result of the check. Then, if you have a bond towards that character, they recover skill level times 10 mind points. So this, again, like these skills are amazing. So everyone wants to spend Fabula points. That's how you gain experience. So you can spend a Fabula point to let someone potentially turn a miss into a hit, and if they're like a spellcaster, say, recover mind points as well. Like that's amazing. Like it's the difference between having enough mind points for a finishing move on a boss or not. So I really like My Trust in You. Persuasive. When you successfully perform a check to fill or erase sections of a clock, if your approach relied on charm, diplomacy, deception, or intimidation, you may spend up to skill level times 20 mind points, which is a lot. If you do, fill or erase an additional section of that clock for every 20 mind points you spend this way. So if you're on a game table that likes to use clocks like a lot, like not everyone will, and you want to charm people, um, yeah, and you want to charm people, etc. This would be good. However, the next skill far outclasses it, and like especially compared to everything else, like it's good, but these first 3 are strong. But this last one, Unexpected Ally, I think is the greatest non-combat skill in the game. And if you have a party that doesn't have this, you are suboptimal. Not that every party wants to be optimal, but this is too good. Unexpected Ally. You may use an action and spend 1 Fabula point. Again, you want to spend Fabula points, is how you get experience. To choose a non-hostile creature able to hear and understand you. If you do, that creature becomes helpful towards you so long as you are kind and respectful to them and your requests are reasonable. If you take this and multi-class into Chimerist and to have like, I think it's called Beast Speak. feral speech. That's the one. Yeah, that lets you speak to beasts, monsters, and plants. Then you can talk to most things in the game, spend a Fabula point, and suddenly this creature that wasn't hostile to you is friendly towards you. Like, that's amazing. Like, you don't need to do as much charm or deception or intimidation from the persuasive skill if they're already helpful towards you because they want to help you. Like you could in theory, like if with the feral speech from the Chimerist, you could see like a bear in the distance, right? And because it's not hostile to you, it hasn't seen you, you can use spend your Fabula points. It's now helpful towards you, and the bear like might lead you through a dangerous forest or something because it knows the way, you know? Like the applications for this are massive. So I genuinely think if you're taking an orator, having if you're dipping into orator or being starting with an orator, take unexpected ally. It's too good. But these are just the normal skills, so they've also got heroic skills. So the first one is disarming rhetoric. During a conflict scene, you use an action to choose a soldier rank creature that can hear and understand you. Again, if we take feral speech, then we can apply this to beast monsters and plants. If that creature is shaken or in crisis, and again, we can cause shaken with condemn. So we have a way to set this up as a combo. In crisis, obviously, there are no crisis. That's when you're half health or less. You may spend an amount of mind points equal to 20 plus half the creature's level to have them peacefully leave the conflict. So, say for example, if you have a boss and it has a soldier rank creature accompanying him, you could tell everyone to focus on the boss. You can spend turn 1 to condemn for 5 mind points. You can spend turn 2 to disarming rhetoric, which is 20 plus half the creature's level, and the soldier will just go. Like, if they both end up surviving, then that soldier will obviously, the boss won't be happy with the soldier, and they probably won't work together again. And there might be some story there where you might take the soldier's side and gain an ally potentially because you've helped him see the error of his ways or whatever. Um, yeah, I think it's really good. It's a lot of mind points, especially when the creature's level gets higher. But there's not many skills in many games that give you a peaceful option to have someone leave the conflict. So I really like it. I think it's unique and it's a very kind of you can flavor a class around this and like you can flavor a playstyle around this. But that's not the only one. So apart from disarming rhetoric, we also have repetition, which is further down in the list. LMNOP. I have to go through the alphabet every time. Repetition. Once per turn during a conflict, after you use the condemn skill or the encourage skill, you may immediately perform that same skill again on the same target or a different one. You must still pay the mind point costs for the second use of the skill. This is incredible. Like I already mentioned like condemn and encourage are incredible skills that will get a lot of use throughout gameplay, and you could do that twice. Like you can encourage two people, give them hit points back, get their dice up, and this is strong. It's very strong. This is more than likely the one I would pick, unless I really wanted to be a kind of more pacifist. But if you're a pacifist, you kind of need to speak to the rest of your party to make sure that they're also passive, like on board with the idea of pacifism, because some people play these games to, min-max a combat character and then be able to kill people easier. But yeah, there's no heroic skills in the High Fantasy Atlas book, so that's all we've got access to. But yeah, the Orator. I think it's an incredibly powerful class. I also think it's a class that works well on its own. So like when I did like the last video where I did the Lawmaster, I don't think the Lawmaster has a strong enough identity for you to be a Lawmaster by itself. I think it helps other classes, but isn't a strong class on its own. The Orator, I think, is a very strong class on its own. And I think you could have a lot of use and like be very efficient and effective as an orator first, and then something like a chimerist second, so you can be able to condemn and encourage more things. But again, these are just my views. This is what I think of the orator. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree, and I will see you for the next video. Goodbye.